Hey guys, Mitchell from Gamefront.
I'm James from Gamefront.
And you may not know this, but between the two of us, maybe if you put us together, we make a hell of an expert for Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many
part of that?
How many Souls playlists do we have on our channel? We have Dark Souls with Mitch, Demon Souls with Mitch, Dark Souls with James, Demon Souls with James, Dark Souls New Game Plus with James, Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, and yeah, that's 6.
Yeah.
That's like 1,000 videos we have on our channel for Dark Souls.
Well, that might be a little bit much. Well, actually, no, it might be about 1,000 videos. Because my first playthrough was like 200 videos long.
Well, anyway, the point I'm making is that, you know, we love the Souls series, and we were really excited to check out this Dark Souls 2 gameplay premiere that was on IGN. And we can't show you the footage of that gameplay because it's an IGN exclusive. Oh, look at me, we're IGN, we're the biggest. Anyway, I'm a little bitter about it.
It's okay, Mitch.
But we watched it.
We'll get the last laugh. We're on our way up. We're on the up and up.
Yeah. But we watched it, and we wanted to share some thoughts about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wrote down some things. Let's start with the visuals, because I was actually expecting a much larger leap in terms of visuals with Dark Souls 2.
Did you make sure that you were watching it in high def?
I did, yes.
Did you notice that it was only 720p?
No, I did not.
Yeah, the HD that I was able to see was 720p, and I can only imagine that that's a limitation of their stream. And there's probably better graphics if you're watching it in 1080p.
Even going beyond the whole 720 to 1080 thing, I was expecting a little more of a bump in terms of graphics.
It looked largely identical to Dark Souls.
It largely looked the same. I do think that there were some improved lighting effects, but you know, it was a little disappointing in terms of visuals.
I actually found it comforting. I was like, wow, this looks just like Dark Souls. So it didn't disappoint me. I thought I didn't see any improvement, but I'm hoping that there will be more improvement if it was 1080p. That's my fingers being crossed. But it looked good.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked good. Do not take my disappointment for, you know, me saying that it looks like crap or even close to that. I think it still looks really, really good. I was just expecting, you know, with the new consoles coming out, I was hoping that Dark Souls 2 would be also ported to the new consoles.
Well, let's just say it was on the new console. They probably wouldn't be showing footage on that because you don't, like, those who they don't just show new console footage out there.
I mean, Watch Dogs is going to be on all the consoles. And
yeah, but when we saw the
PC,
videos
obviously,
for the Watch Dogs stuff, it was for an announcement of PlayStation 4.
No. We saw Watch Dogs way back in E3 last year.
Okay, that's true. That is true, but I'm not 100% sure that back then was running on an Xbox.
Oh, it probably was. It was probably running on a PC. But yeah. Dark Souls 2 is coming out on the PC.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on.
Sorry, I just have to give it. I just have to hope. You know.
So moving on from the visuals, I wanted to go into a little bit about the new interface, which very much was like the old interfaces for Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but there were a couple of differences.
Okay.
First thing, there was no humanity counter. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it was one of the biggest things that I noticed.
Yeah?
Like, immediately noticed it.
You didn't notice it at all, did you? In place of the humanity counter was a little icon in the top left, and I saw on Twitter someone said something that made a lot of sense to me, that would be a representation of what your covenant might be.
Ooh,
so
covenants might play a bigger role this time.
Well, it could be that, but also I think one of the things about the original Dark Souls was, you know, there was no real sign of what covenant you were in.
Yeah, I would usually forget.
If you had like a ring on that, you know, you would only have it in that covenant, you would have a little symbol for the buff. So that's cool. Again, that's speculation, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
Heard the facts here first.
What else was there? There were some weird numbers over the top of the magic slot.
Well, you know what I was thinking is it said something 15, and it said L1. I feel like that, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe he had 15 torches, and to use them you hit L1.
Maybe.
But that seems like a lot. Like, they don't usually give you that kind of information.
Well, it wouldn't be L1 because L1 would be, you know, mapped to your weapon. your left weapon. I mean, they're not going to change that, James. Don't tell me they're going to change that.
Or you have 15 torches at level 1 power. Maybe a level 5 torch is really hot.
About those torches, I just want to go into that because it kind of stuck out to me. They were making it seem like it was this really new thing in
I've
Dark
never
Souls.
seen torches in Dark Souls.
Come on, it's basically the skull lantern.
The skull lantern is a skull that emits a magical aural light. A torch is lit on fire.
Yeah.
Very different.
Okay, its functionality is the same, but I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
It blew my mind.
It did not blow my mind. It wasn't that much of a game changer. He was
I've never seen anything like it in a Dark Souls game.
You know, it's the same thing where if you have the skull lantern in your hand, you can't use your shield. If you put your skull lantern away, you can't see.
Now, at the same time, we saw the magic stone being used to light up a room, but I find that the addition of the torch will be kind of like finding a shortcut in the fact that when you're playing through Dark Souls 2, instead of a skull lantern that you carry with you, you have a torch. You light a torch, you know where the next one's at, you must carry this torch to there, light it, and that will be like, in a different sense of a shortcut of like opening a door. Now you have such and such area lit for you. So you can go through there without having to use a shield. And they didn't show that, that's completely...
speculation.
Fact.
Don't worry.
Fact I just made up right now.
We're going to be speculating a lot here.
Fact. Take that one to the bank. You're going to be lighting the big torch pods, which is what I'm calling for now the torch pod, which you lit your torch on. Don't you think that would be a cool mechanic?
Yeah, I think
it's kind of like lighting a bonfire, but it's like almost like a checkpoint in a Mario game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking will be the difference with torches and the skull lantern is it's going to play a bigger role in the exploration of the game.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I noticed about the UI was that there were some slots underneath.
That I did notice. All jokes aside,
the left weapon, which I think obviously leads me to believe, again, speculation, that there might be some sort of socketed shields that you can get to give it some sort of buff or something like that, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
Diablo had that.
It wouldn't surprise me if that socketed spot, and this is my opinion on it, it may not be sockets for like gems that you would have in what games like League of Legends. What games was it that you put sockets in there? Oh, Torchlight.
Diablo. Torchlight, yeah.
A lot of games do that. But it could be like, say you have a crossbow, and you have bolts that are heavy and bolts that are light. It might be a selection there. It might be something like, oh, you have pine resin, or you have lightning resin.
That's a good idea.
It could be that making an easier interface than having to pause and go to that item.
Yeah, it could be the way you make your weapons elemental.
Yeah.
Speculation high five.
I'm still thinking it's pretty much fact.
What else? And there was also another slot to the right of the item slot, which I think is really just a next item thing, which I think is a good addition. One of the things that kind of trips us up sometimes.
Not me. I could imagine an amateur having problems with it.
This amateur sometimes got tripped up thinking that I had an Estus flask after my transient curse, and switching to it, realizing that was a humanity, and then dying because I'm in the long animation of using humanity. So I think it's a neat addition if that's the case. Again, speculation. So yeah, moving on. There was also a cool thing I noticed. He had a two-sword style. Did you see that? And what you could have two swords before.
That's what I was imagining that you already could. I didn't do that, but
there was never like a set of combo strings for it. Like it was just you had 1 slash 2 slash 1 slash 2 slash. This one was like it was a full combo that he was able to do.
Am I not doing combos in Dark Souls? I felt like when I push the attack, it does a combo.
No, for the left weapon.
Yeah.
Like you should. There was never a reason to have a sword in your left hand, really.
Okay. See, I didn't experiment with it. I just assumed that there was a reason.
No. So yeah,
I thought if you had like a dex
cool.
build, because there's those daggers that go in both your hands, that there would be some sort of awesome combo with them. But I never. I guess I I didn't explore that much into Dark Souls 1.
So yeah, I thought that was a cool little addition.
Yeah, it didn't strike me as something new because I just didn't know.
Mm-hmm. And then what else was there? There was well, let's talk about the enemies for a sec, because you said you were really impressed by the enemies.
I was, and you know, that's the thing. Is like I have such high expectations, and I'm willing to suspend my disbelief that the graphics will look better than that stream did. But I've always liked the enemies from Dark Souls. I mean, look at the Gravelord, such a unique, awesome boss, and like everything there is so bizarre looking and very creative. And I was not surprised that I was happy with it, but just that it was such a cool improvement, and it looked so drastically different than the enemies that we've come across. You know. Yeah.
Dark Souls and Demon Souls, like I would go so far to say that, bar none, they have the best enemy design of any game I've played, both in terms of visuals and in terms of how they react to you.
Yeah. And in terms of variety, like there can be games that come up with amazing enemy styles, but then there's like no variety there. And this game has huge variety. Everybody reacts very differently, has their own unique AI style.
Yeah. And I thought it was really funny that one of the enemies that they decided to show was one with a shell on the back, because pretty much every enemy in Dark Souls that was like a human-sized enemy, or maybe slightly bigger, you could backstab them. And that was always, always, always the way to go if you wanted to, you know, kill them. And so now they come up with this enemy, you try to do that, they fall right on you and basically take a whole chunk of your life.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really neat idea.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too. I also didn't appreciate it. I like to have a backstab area. I usually am disappointed in enemies. They're slightly too large for a backstab. But you know, what are you gonna do?
I also love the guy that he had the axes. He throws at you. You can try to you know, knock them away, but if you miss, boom, instant kill. And you just get this giant, you know, table-sized axe in your face, and you just fall backwards.
Yeah, that looks like it would be a lot of fun. I could imagine some frustrating moments of deflecting axes as you try to run up a giant sword to a troll.
Yeah.
That looks like it'll be a frustrating part in the game.
Yeah.
In a good way.
And then the other really cool thing, again, the coolest thing I think about the Dark Souls gameplay demo were the showcases of the enemies. The other one that I thought was really cool was the troll that was behind the door.
Yeah.
And you know, you'd shoot some arrows at him, and you get pissed off, and he'd break through the door and try to kill you.
Yeah.
Because usually, you know, in other games, you would use that to your advantage.
To exploit.
Be like, he can't get me from there. Stupid troll, stupid troll. Holy shit!
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's funny. I'm playing Dark Souls on my PC right now, and there's, you know, that part where there's the fire and the different dogs and the ninjas with the throwing daggers come out. Well, my first time through
in Blighttown?
I don't think it is Blighttown. It's after you're going towards the Minotaur demon, and it's like you go downstairs and a whole bunch of dogs are attacking you.
Okay, yeah.
And there's like a big fire, and then the ninjas come out with their daggers.
Yeah.
My first time down there, all of a sudden I was trying to check to see if I could break a door, and I damaged somebody behind the door. I was like, and I just killed him. And then of course after that I was like, now I'm checking all the doors, and I'm killing all the enemies behind the doors.
Yeah, because there's a certain point where if you walk through it, then the
door's open, and then now every time I go through, the doors are already open, so I can't do that trick a second time. But yeah, so that is a very common play style. I know it's kind of cheating, but it felt good at the time that I felt like I was exploiting it. And yeah, the feeling is, ha, stupid troll. And then if you do that in this one, it seems like there's a good chance they're gonna bust the wall down.
Yeah. So I thought that was probably the most impressive moment of the demo for me. The other really impressive moment was, and this is probably the one that made me rethink, like, okay, this looks a lot better than Dark Souls, when he was going onto the dragon bridge and all those dragons were flying around. Yeah. That was really cool.
That was pretty amazing.
But yeah, that's...
It was funny that they were like, oh, and by the way, we will have a way for you to beat this.
Yeah.
Like, duh! Like, well, what do you mean? Like, oh, this bridge is impossible. Nobody can beat
Game
the
over!
It's like the Donkey Kong end screen. But yeah, it was pretty neat. to see that.
Let's just give overall final thoughts of what we thought about Dark Souls 2.
Great game, predictable ending.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Some plot holes could be filled in. You know, the last act was a little disappointing as a climax, but but yeah. No, seriously, what did you think of the gameplay demo?
I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was great. I didn't enjoy, and I don't want to, like, I'm sure you know whoever was in there. Actually, I'm not going to say anything. The game footage was great. I was grateful that they brought it onto the screen for me to watch, period. And that's where I'll leave it. Glowing
review. I was grateful of the things I watched on the screen. Yeah, I you know, it's gonna be more of the same, it seems, which is not a bad thing for Dark Souls. I mean, Dark Souls was more of the same of Demon Souls. It had a bunch of differences, and I think there probably will be a lot of differences in Dark Souls 2. They just don't want to go into it just yet. It's still pretty early on. The game doesn't even have a release date set yet. I think we're going to learn a lot more about it at E3. But I think what was shown was promising, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah. When do you think it's going to release?
I think, I mean, looking at the footage now and seeing that it's really not that much of an overhaul of the engine, I think it's very realistic to think that it could come out later this year.
I'm in agreement. I'm going to say October 11th. I don't even know if that's a Tuesday, but I'm sticking to it.
I'm going to say whatever is closest to October 11th and is a Tuesday, that is my prediction.
Okay.
I think it is going to be October, though.
All right. We're in agreement there.
Agreement 5!
Agreement 5. Great. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like,
comment,
and subscribe. Oh, now you got to get on there. They got to go right. Okay, good. Oh, if you can get it right here, you will make up a lot of time, James. Okay.
What now?
You can either jump to that one and then jump to that one and get up there.